All those in favor of passing the article as read, please signify by raising your voting cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the article printed as Article 5 is passed. Article 6, printed as Article 6. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement in the amount of $260,000 for the purpose of leasing a rescue vehicle for the fire department, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $54,641 for the first year's payment for that purpose. This lease agreement contains an escape clause. Majority vote required, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0, and by the Budget Committee 7-0. Do I have a motion? So moved. Second. Thank you. Dan Duffy, would you introduce this article, please?
Yes, sir. This is being asked for by the fire department. The chief will speak to you, but I want everybody to understand that the rescue vehicle cannot move people. It's just equipment. So if we're at a scene and there's somebody needs to be moved, you can't put them in that truck by law. So I'll, Chief, with Chief Thompson, if you would like to speak on this.
Chief Thompson?
I guess I would entertain any questions that anyone would have. Just to give you a brief overview, each year we're asked to go to the Capital Improvement Committee to give what we foresee is coming down the road for new equipment. This has been in our capital improvement for 10 years. And originally it started out as a rescue truck for $550,000. Our committee worked on the vehicle, built the vehicle, and it ended up coming out to be approximately 34 feet long and 10 feet high. That in turn went back to the committee and said that we couldn't operate in the town with that size of vehicle. But that was the vehicle that we needed to carry the equipment in the future and down the road that we currently have. The committee went back and looked at the whole process and decided that we would do it in 2 vehicles. One, we would put most of our medical equipment on an ambulance, and then the remaining equipment on a rescue truck, similar to what we have currently. There have been some people that have come to the station to look at our current rescue truck and inquire about it. I appreciate all those people that have stopped by. Anyone is welcome at any point in time to see the equipment that they own in the town, as far as the equipment. The doors are usually open for the fire station as long as we're there. The rescue truck operates on about 90 to 99% of our calls that we go out to. It responds on EMS calls, it responds on motor vehicle accidents. We carry 210 gallons of water, 9 gallons of foam on the truck for motor vehicle accidents. It gets started until we get an engine there if there was a car fire or we need further water for the situations. The current rescue truck that we have is 15 years. It's at its limit as far as where we, for NFPA purposes, we look at a new vehicle for that. The vehicle has currently 34,700 miles, so it has low miles, but they are high miles as far as in the fire service. And when you multiply the mileage as far as idle time, it's a long time. The rescue truck that we currently have, we try to keep it in as good shape as possible. And we try to maintain everything so that there are no issues when we go out. NFPA does require over a period of time that a vehicle will be replaced depending on the type of vehicle within 15 or 20 years, depending on if it was an engine or rescue. has any further questions, I'll answer whatever I can.
Any further comments about the article? Bob?
Bob McWhorter, Melbourne Village. Chief, I know you answered a lot of questions, but if you thought any more about is the vehicle going to be traded, the old vehicle? As you recall, last year we ordered a new plow truck because it was falling apart, and we ended up keeping it. So I'm just curious if you thought any more about, is it going to be traded, redeployed to another station?
We're not looking to keep the vehicle. We have looked into as far as what it has for trade-in value. We have nothing specific at this time. We have been told that it would be worth approximately $14,000 to $16,000, but we still have time in the process to put the vehicle out for sale, or if one of the other companies that's interested in bidding in the process is willing to take it in the trade, we are more than willing to do that.
Further questions or comments on the published Article 6? Then I said,
The escape clause is that if for some reason the town doesn't want to pay for it,
who's speaking where? Oh, all right.
What is the escape clause?
The question is, what is the escape clause in the lease agreement? Adam can answer that.
So the question, the answer to that is if the town decides that they don't want to pay for the lease vehicle anymore, the vehicle will go back.
Go back.
Back to the owners of the property.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hi, Barry Ennis. A couple of questions, Adam. I'd like to comment the fire department and commend them for maintaining the truck that you want to replace in such great shape. It's basically spotless. It's got 37,000 miles on it. Very, very useful truck. I don't see that it has any problems. I wonder why we want to spend $250,000 to replace a truck that we could probably get another 5 years out of. It doesn't seem to have a problem. Could you explain why it's so urgent to spend $250,000 now in light of the budget that we have just passed and everything else? Something's got to give somewhere, and can't we just delay that? And can you help us? You're a department head. Do what you can for us. We need help. We can't keep doing this. Thank you.
So I will, as I've always said, I am going to put it before the budget, the town meeting. I will never not bring something before town meeting as far as with my job. It's up to the townspeople to make a decision of whether or not that piece of equipment is going to be purchased or not. If you decide no, that is your decision. When it comes down to the time period that something fails on the vehicle or there is an issue with it, it's not coming back on the department, it's not coming back onto myself. I'm not the one that's going to jail for it. People do that all across the country because of the failure of equipment. NFPA is not a 100% requirement that you change it, but it's definitely something that we follow as far as the process. If you don't follow it, when something does happen to the equipment, then that is when the people come in, do an investigation, and how come the vehicle that was whatever age is still there. Yes, we keep it in very good shape as much as possible. I can't guarantee that something won't fail on the vehicle. So as I said, I will never not bring it to your attention. It's my job to do so, and that's why we're here tonight.
Adam, just for clarification, I assume the NFPA is National Fire Protective Association. Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, go.
I just had one question, and I think we talked about it when we were bringing this to us. And the question is, in looking at that vehicle, and I did go and look at it, at that time we were discussing some things that it might need this next year. Was it back springs or something like that?
It does need some work, and we've held off on doing some of the work as far as it goes, as far as replacing the rear springs. There are some lighting things that are approximately $6,000 that we would be looking at as far as replacing. And to further extend, as far as we're looking to update the vehicle that we've had for 15 years that has run out of space. Yes, if an ambulance was passed on the next article, we probably could continue for at least another 5 years because we would be taking stuff off of this and not running it on a daily basis on every call that we go on. It would be going out on specific rescue type calls as far as motor vehicle accidents and anything that it would need to be taken out of.
Thank you. Is there any further comments or questions regarding this article? So I since you're ready to vote, I will read the article to see if the town will vote. I'm sorry, I didn't see you coming.
Still to address the same issue, you say you're going to take equipment from the rescue truck and put it in the ambulance. Now, I was of the impression that the ambulance would only go when a second ambulance was needed. So if you have equipment on that, not on the other truck, and you don't need that ambulance, but you need that equipment, that won't work, will it?
If you make it so that an ambulance is needed, as far as that you want to keep the current truck, as far as to have more room, then that would be the case. We have designed this current rescue vehicle to hold whatever equipment that is needed as much as possible. So we're planning for the worst with the truck, knowing that it is slightly smaller as far as space-wise, because of the requirements that came down the road over the 15-year lifespan of the vehicles. However, we're doing a 4-door vehicle instead of a 2-door vehicle, so we gain space in the cab to put medical equipment in the front if needed.
So that ambulance, is that going to go every time there's a call? Or is it going to be there to be a backup for the ambulance service that we're already paying a lot of money for?
It would go out on the medical calls that it would need to serve, and it would go out if it was needed as a backup as far as for the different calls. Say motor vehicle accident, things like that. If it sounds like that it's going to be more than one patient, the ambulance will be rolled out of the door.
Yes, I kind of get the feeling that we're trying to get another truck and an ambulance so we can be like everybody else. But no, this town is not like everybody else, and we aren't like everybody else. And do we need to have what everybody else has just because they have it? And I don't think we do.
Don't respond to that. Let's bring the conversation back to the moderator, and I think we've got a sense of at least certain people's feelings. Is there any more discussion or comment? Yes, Susan.
Susan Leaves. I went to a number of the budget meetings and the budget hearing, and Adam, it was my understanding that this was a scheduled year for replacement based on a CIP, not based on the problems with the truck.
That's correct.
That a couple of $1,000s was needed for springs. I don't recall any mention of lights, but this truck, the NFPA rules have changed since this truck was built. And this truck isn't required to meet those guidelines.
The current truck that we have, the 2001, is not required to meet guidelines. Any vehicle that's built after that, today wouldn't have to.
Right, so I don't think anyone's going to get sued if the truck breaks down. I can't imagine how you would be liable for that.
Every day, chiefs are being held liable for failures in fire departments. Today's world is a very sue-happy place. And I'm not trying to scare anyone, I'm just for telling you that that's the way the world is. Can the truck possibly last 5 more years? It can. It probably can. But I can't tell you how long. And we were asked at one of the budget committee meetings, can we put it off for whatever length of time? And my answer is, we can put it off as long as you want, as long as someone remembers down the road that we did put it off and it has to come forward.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions regarding the article in question? Please stay on the mic.
Russ Barron Clark. I don't quite understand. If we get this truck, do we definitely need the ambulance because you're taking things off of this truck and they will not fit on this truck, and therefore we need the ambulance as well? That's almost what I'm hearing, that if you make a smaller truck, you take things off of this truck that you're proposing. This truck does not have the capacity to carry everything we now carry. Therefore, we do need the ambulance, so we definitely need 2 vehicles. If this goes forward, we definitely need the ambulance. Is that the case here?
We're going to attempt to make sure that the truck could carry as much as possible, as far as that goes. It's one of those things that we try to design a vehicle that will suit the town for at least 15 to 20 years down the road. We're going to make whatever we have work.
That still doesn't make it right. If we buy this truck, will we need the ambulance to carry everything we now carry on that truck we're replacing?
I would say that we can fit what we have currently on the rescue truck in the new truck because of some of the added space, and especially with 4 doors.
I just wondered whether...
Russ, would you go back to the mic, because not everybody can hear you, including the moderator.
I'm wondering whether we're obligating ourselves to 2 trucks. That's my question. Are we obligating ourselves for the best situation to service our town? Are we obligating ourselves to buy or purchase or lease 2 trucks?
We're not trying to make an obligation for the 2 vehicles.
Any further questions or comments on this article? Seeing none, we shall read the article and move to a vote. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement in the amount of $260,000 for the purpose of leasing a rescue vehicle for the fire department, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $54,641 for the first year's payment for that purpose. This lease agreement contains an escape clause. Majority vote required, recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0, and by the Budget Committee 7-0. All those in favor of the article as read, please signify by raising your voting cards. All those opposed? I'm going to count the house again. Fellas, can you, my runners, can they